He joined the U.S. Navy in 1943, deeply affected by the attack on Pearl Harbor, and was assigned to the USS Proteus, a submarine tender responsible for repairing and resupplying submarines across the Pacific Theater, an essential yet often overlooked part of the war effort. Serving as a signalman, he was trained in visual communication systems including Morse code and semaphore flags, a role demanding intense concentration and precision under pressure. His most powerful memory came on September 2, 1945, when, standing on the deck of the USS Proteus anchored in Tokyo Bay, he witnessed the official Japanese surrender aboard the USS Missouri, marking the formal end of World War II. It was a once-in-a-lifetime historical moment that left a deep and lasting impression on him. After the war, he used the GI Bill to study acting in New York before moving to Hollywood, where his appearance and screen presence quickly earned him a contract with Universal Pictures. Yet behind the charm and fame was a man shaped by duty and sacrifice. Though known for romantic comedies and action films, Tony Curtis carried the emotional weight of his wartime experiences, giving his performances a depth many viewers never fully recognized. Number 8. Paul Newman. Paul Newman's striking blue eyes became iconic in films like Cool Hand Luke and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but they also prevented him from achieving his first military ambition. Enlisting in the U.S. Navy in 1943, he hoped to become a pilot through the Navy's V-12 program, but a medical exam revealed colorblindness, ending that path. Refusing to quit, he remained in service and became a radio operator and rear gunner on torpedo bombers in the Pacific Theater. He was stationed aboard the USS Bunker Hill, a major aircraft carrier active in the war's final phase. His defining wartime experience came not from combat, but from fate. Just before his squadron was scheduled for the Okinawa campaign, his pilot developed an ear infection, grounding their aircraft. That delay likely saved their lives. On May 11, 1945, while they were still ashore, the USS Bunker Hill was struck by two kamikaze aircraft in one of the deadliest naval attacks of the war, killing 393 sailors. Newman later reflected on how close he came to death and how narrowly he avoided becoming another name on a memorial. Discharged in 1946, he returned to civilian life forever changed. The war gave him humility, perspective, and a sense of gratitude that shaped both his acting and his lifelong philanthropy. To the world, he was a Hollywood legend, but to himself he remained the man who survived because he never boarded that flight. Number 9. Tony Bennett. Long before becoming one of America's most beloved singers, known for classics like I Left My Heart in San Francisco, Tony Bennett was a frontline infantry soldier in World War II. Drafted into the U.S. Army in 1944 at only 18, he was assigned to the 63rd Infantry Division and fought in brutal conditions across France and Germany during the war's final months, facing relentless combat, extreme cold, and devastating casualties. He not only endured enemy fire, but also the injustice of military segregation. After sharing a meal with a black friend in defiance of racist orders, he was demoted and reassigned to grave-digging duty. The experience profoundly shaped his values and fueled his lifelong commitment to civil rights and social justice. Despite the discrimination, he continued serving, and after Germany's surrender, he was transferred to the Special Services Unit, where he began singing for fellow soldiers, offering an early glimpse of the artist he would become. The trauma of Europe stayed with him, making him a lifelong pacifist and giving him a deep appreciation for life and opportunity. He didn't simply survive the war, he transformed suffering into purpose, using his voice not only to entertain, but to inspire. Number 10. Henry Fonda. When the United States entered World War II, Henry Fonda was already an established actor, known for films like The Grapes of Wrath. Yet he chose service over stardom. In 1942, at 37, far older than most recruits, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy, stating he didn't want a fake war on a studio set but a real one. He began as a quartermaster aboard the USS Satterley, a destroyer in the Atlantic, before being transferred to the Pacific Theater as an intelligence officer. His duties included briefing pilots and assisting in reconnaissance planning, vital responsibilities in a complex and brutal combat zone. His service earned him the Bronze Star for meritorious achievement. Fonda rarely spoke about his military record, but it deeply influenced the characters he portrayed, men defined by integrity, conscience, and moral strength. In roles like 12 Angry Men, audiences weren't just watching an actor, but a man whose values were forged in war. Number 11. Lee Marvin. Before becoming famous for portraying hardened characters in films like The Dirty Dozen and Point Blank, Lee Marvin lived that reality as a U.S. Marine. Enlisting in 1942 at 18, he was assigned to the 4th Marine Division, one of the most battle-tested units in the Pacific. He fought in some of the war's most brutal campaigns, including the Battle of Saipan in 1944, where he was severely wounded by machine gun fire that damaged his sciatic nerve and lower back. The injuries ended his military career and led to his medical discharge. For his courage and sacrifice, he received the Purple Heart. The war left lasting physical and emotional scars that shaped the authenticity of his performances. He never romanticized violence, and audiences sensed the truth behind his portrayals because he had lived it. He didn't act like a soldier, he was one. Number 12. Gene Autry. Known as the Singing Cowboy, Gene Autry was already a national star when World War II began, dominating radio, music, and film. Yet fame did not keep him from serving. In 1942, after Pearl Harbor, he enlisted in the U.S. Army Air Forces, even at the height of his career. After pilot training, he was commissioned as a flight officer and assigned to the Air Transport Command, flying dangerous missions over the Hump, the treacherous Himalayan supply route to China. These flights were among the most perilous of the war, plagued by violent weather, mechanical failures, extreme altitudes, and enemy threats. Autry flew countless missions while also lifting morale by performing music for troops whenever possible. He bridged two worlds, entertainer and serviceman, proving heroism both on stage and in the sky. Number 13. David Niven. Already a Hollywood star when World War II began, David Niven returned to Britain to serve rather than remain in the United States. Rejoining the British Army, he was commissioned as a lieutenant in the Rifle Brigade, later joining elite British commandos and the secretive Phantom Signals Unit. Operating behind enemy lines, this unit gathered intelligence and transmitted critical battlefield information. Niven took part in the D-Day landings and served throughout the European campaign in missions that were extremely dangerous and often conducted under direct enemy fire. He never sought recognition or exaggerated his service. After the war, he returned to Hollywood, starring in classics like Around the World in 80 Days and The Pink Panther, carrying with him the discipline, restraint, and quiet confidence forged in war. To audiences, he was charming and sophisticated, but beneath the elegance was a soldier shaped by real combat.